So this is my entry video for the Kursk group build, which is being hosted by Cohen and My Modelling World's YouTube channels, and it's a Facebook or YouTube group build for the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kursk, which is obviously mostly known for the greatest tank battle in history. I will be entering this one, which, if you're not aware of it, it's quite a big kit. It's a big box, as you can see. Got a full interior and everything else you could ever possibly imagine or need to go with a Tiger. Now, just to sort of give a disclaimer to this build, I won't be making much of the interior at all. I won't be doing a review of it either, because there's plenty about this kit already out. It's quite an old kit now, a couple of years I think. So I will be building the interior, but I'll be skipping past a lot of it because I'm only going to be opening it to see the hatches, so it's going to be a partial interior. I'm going to open up everything I can. So you've got the two hatches here for the driver and the radio. You've got the commander's hatch and the loader's hatch, and then you've got the there's a hatch on the side of the turret as well, which are also open. I will not be opening any of the engine deck or anything like that, because this kit's a bit lacking in the engine area. So to save having to build a lot or get into any sort of contentious areas, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Plus, I don't generally like to build any sort of models that are exploded or have got movable parts, so you can kind of see, if you know what I mean. So I'm just doing it because it's one of the only kits that I've come across that's easily available, which has the features for the early Tigers, which this is. This is one of the of an initial batch, I believe. I'm getting on dodgy ground here, so do correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But it's one of the early Tigers that was sent to the Eastern Front. They were sent out with turret bins, and this has got quite an unusual turret bin, much like a, let's see if we can show you, much like a sort of a Panzer III, like this. In fact, I think it was a field modification or something, but either way, that's not like your normal Tiger bin. And also, there's a few other things. There's no exhaust shrouds, there's no FIFO filters or anything like that. So it's one of the nicer early Tigers, because it's very early, so it's before quite a lot of things were added to it, which you come to know from Tigers that you see around. So it's quite unique, and these did go into Kursk as well, which again, I didn't realise until I researched. I researched it a little bit and asked the guys in the group on the Facebook, and we got a whole load of pictures together. So this one was certainly there in many different guises, and what I mean by that is you've got it in a training role at the beginning of the just before the battle. It was I think it was part of the training unit that was getting things ready for the battle, and at that point it's got its sides fenders and a few other parts, and then later on through the battle all of these are gone, and you've got everything in between, obviously, and the tow cables are lined up differently as well. So there's a few different ways I can go. I've not decided when I'm going to depict it yet, and I do intend to do a diorama with this as well. I'm going to have a few figures dotted around. Probably loading is what we're going to be looking at. I've just been listening to an audiobook recently which was talking about Kursk, and I did not realise quite how formidable these tanks were in Kursk. Obviously the Tiger was pretty good, but you know, at some points they were reloading 2 or 3 times a day, which seems excessive, and they were loading with up to about 120 rounds, I think it was. They cleared some space to get more rounds in, so it was obviously a fierce and horrific battle, and war being war, they made sure they could do as much damage as they could. So I think that the Tiger crews in particular were exhausted throughout the battle, and were pretty much running on Pervitin, from what I can tell from doing the research. So I mean, must have been an awful thing for all involved on both sides. So nevertheless, this is what I've chosen to depict. So we won't dwell on the downside of it, and I may, if I get time, add in these Vesta Ferdinand as well. I have a long view in mind, diorama-wise, of this one being off a road, being loaded with the crew around it, and then the Ferdinand driving past as well, because they were as far as I believe, again, I haven't done a lot of research, they were meant to be in close support, the Ferdinand and Tigers, and I don't think that happened at all. And from what I've gathered in the group, the Tiger crews were a bit snobbish, and the Ferdinand crews probably didn't like them either, so it was all a bit up in the air, I think. But they certainly would have driven past each other and been around the same sort of vicinity, so it's definitely plausible. So I think that's the way I might go if I get time. But you never know. The way that it ends in July, I think, or June, the group build, so might just get the thing built without the crew. But you know, we'll finish off the video and we'll get the diorama done at some point. So that's the intro video there. So stay tuned. Not sure how regular the updates will be, but as and when they're ready, I'll put them up. And hope you enjoy the build, and hope you can follow along as well.